The microphone is not on yet. I'm having difficulties. I will get it done in a second. All right, now you can hear me. I had it off for a second because just because. So, welcome to watching Revenger with me. You should know that the movie's on Netflix, and you should get that up and ready to go. Because what we're gonna do is I'll give us a time marker, and then we'll start it together, and then I will talking throughout be talking throughout, and then I will also be showing you some scenes that I find really good as we're watching, because I'm not going to stop. Once it starts, it's like it goes, and so we're just having like a watch party together, and I know a little bit about stuff, so I'll try to impart something with you. And this movie, Revenger, is seems somewhat popular from a lot of people, so I thought I'd do a full thing about it, because it is a very unique film for Korean cinema, really, because it's shorter than normal, and it is for lack of a better phrase, a kung fu movie, karate. I mean, action film with a lot of fighting in it, and that's because of Bruce Kahn. Anyway, before we get going here, I want to show you this. You can go to find the movie watch companions. They're all here, so you can see Parasite and all that good stuff right here. All the movies here, they're coming up for the week. Like tomorrow, we got the two along with the Gods movies for the afternoon and the evening. And then we have a late night showing of The Man from Nowhere on Sunday, which is one of my favorite films of all time. Certainly top 5 Korean films indefinitely. And finally, one last thing. There is a video value donation button here and a Patreon button. And look, we've all been hit with hard times, and I want you to give to people who really, really need it. But this is what I'll be doing. And I really want to get this content to you, and I hope that if it's valuable to you, even if it's $1.25, whatever you think it's worth, that'll be great. Or if you want to become a Patreon, and shout out to Laurel for being my very first patron. That's one of the quote-unquote perks you get when you sign up to be a Patreon. So the buttons are right here. But right now it's free, and we're here because we love the stuff. And here is the movie. What we're going to do is we started with the Netflix thing, right? And then we'll get going. So 3, 2, 1, and hit the play button. Very good. Off we go. Okay. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, besides the movie, and is things are opening on my screen that shouldn't be opening. Besides this film, I wanted to talk to you about subtitles, which I made a video about a while back with this, and critics. It's funny, I don't read reviews anymore, but I remember when this review came out, somebody mentioned the fact that they wanted it to be like The Night Comes for Us, which is they said was another Korean action film. I don't think that the guys from it's not a Korean film, let's put it that way. This is why you don't pay attention to critics. If the person doesn't even know what country he's talking about, or she's talking about, whoever it is. But now there's probably a couple of ways you could watch this. You could watch this with subtitles on or subtitles off and dubbing. I am totally against dubbing. By the way, the movie right now is telling you basically Lead. There it is, revenge, and that's how it's spelled in Korean, revenge. Now, I'm against dubbing because it never works with the mouth, and subtitles are just, they're not, they're people consider them to be so scary, and no one's doing anything about them or improving them because I think of the profit motive. But this movie is a great time to do some talking because there are some extended action sequences that are amazing in this. And I said, this is different than normally with a Korean film, you deal with gangsters and with crime with guns. But in this instance, it's prisoners on an island and unnamed, not an unnamed prisoner, but someone that's unknown has landed on the shores. And it's, as it was described in the beginning of the film, it's a cop who's there to get revenge for the death of his family by one of the men on the island. And this is the inciting incident because they're chasing a girl to the beach. Yes, this is violent night, but sometimes you need this kind of thing. You just just some ass whooping, some having good, and just shooting arrow. I mean, really, it's like arrows, no guns, it's arrows and fighting. And when you see the Bruce Khan make his first entrance, it is like some fucked up Silence of the Lambs. But you'll see. But I mean, his choreography is amazing. Bruce Khan is not a guy who does a lot of Korean films as an actor. In fact, this was his first movie as a lead. But he's a great fight choreographer, and it shows in this film. And other films, but this one in particular. So subtitles are not going to matter quite as much in this movie. Oh, wow. Mom, she really took it to him. Subtitles are not going to be too bad because there's not much dialogue in the film. But that doesn't mean that the subtitles that they're using shouldn't be accurate, or if not accurate, fits the country that they're meant for. Western audiences speak differently. I mean, it's just the way the thing. It's like they use more contractions. Our colloquialisms are different. We have to get away, to a certain extent, the model of subtitling exactly how it's said, because some things just don't translate. And when they don't translate, things turn very formal. And this is the last film you want to be formal. Man, see, she may be able to, she's an ass kicker, but she also has some competition. She's not easily handling these guys. She's got to work for her supper. I'm not going to tell you what this is. Yep, the girl. Now, this film, in terms of like plot and story-wise, is not what you're looking for when you're watching this film. I mean, this film delivered on the action and the production design and the humor. Because this could be a very grim movie, and it's a very violent movie. But there are moments of humor, the way they use the camera. I'll mention those later. But subtitles, Bong Joon-ho mentioned something about subtitles, called it like the 1-inch fence of subtitles, and if people could just get over that, there'd be a lot more people watching international films. I definitely agree, but I think that we can't just change people's minds and say, oh, they're okay. No, you really have to fix the subtitles. Hear it? This is the... Oh, I thought it was going to... Right now we are waiting for the... There he is. Look at that. Silence of the Lambs, right? He's about to do a fight with a straitjacket on. That in itself is... You've never heard that before. Maybe it's been done before. I haven't watched every film and every made, but... Look, I mean... Part of me wishes he had worn that mask like the whole time. Yeah, I'll try to be cutting into some action sequences, but I can't show more than, a few seconds because, you should be watching this on Netflix. But if you're not, I'm going to show you some of my favorite stuff. Look at the first moves. Boom. Boom. Look at that. Boom. I mean, they know that the kicks are coming, and they still can't stop them. What an introduction of a character, right? No words needed. Dude is badass, and he's likely crazy, considering what he just did with that guy's arm. Oh. who still falls prey to the one guy at a time thing. Although this film does upend that in a certain sense when he's got to take on two or three at once. But, usually it's like the five guys are waiting around and one guy's attacking the other person when all five should attack at once. But just the movie knows what it's supposed to do. It's meant to deliver on the thrills and the action. And if you look at that scene between the two, right, nothing was said between them, but a lot was said between them. The director gave them time to fill in them. Oh, man. Didn't that guy see how well she fought? Like, he thought he could just walk up to her? And also not protecting his most sensitive areas? But see, even that with a twist. She doesn't automatically win. She's got to... This is a tough place. Doesn't matter how well you fight. You got to fight really, really well. And also watch your back. But without a sense of danger, you don't have any... You can't have any fun. Because there's no way you're going to release. There's no release there. I mean, some things are cliche, of course. Like that. I mean, think about it. The woman just killed a bunch of guys and almost bested him. And one slap and she's out? I guess maybe if that's like the last punch, but I don't think so. Now, this is the... Here we go. Oh. There we go. I got to show you. You got to watch it yourself. Now watch a little bit more. It's just... See? That headbutt is like funny because look at how he headbutts the camera. And that's used quite a few times in here. You notice it's speaking English. Boom. One kick out. Granted, they're all kicked out. But with hardly any dialogue, we've established that the man is a good man because he saved the good people. Although the good people are also on an island that's filled with prisoners, kind of like Escape from New York. But he wouldn't stand by and let them get hurt. That's how you know he's good. And he's looking for someone on the island, the man who murdered his family. I'm not giving anything away here. There are a lot of plots in Korean films that I love. Asura, City of Madness, Age of Shadows. These are films that we'll be doing over the next coming weeks. But they're very complicated plots. The Spy Gone North. Hwang Young-min, I'm going to have a whole weekend of his movies soon. But Spy Gone North, a very Cold War, very complex film, very dark themes. This film takes itself just seriously enough for you to worry about the characters, but not so grim that you can't consider it fun. And there's the condemned. They're all condemned criminals. That's what it said in that thing. It was his name, but his thing fell off. So with subtitles, you can't just continue the way they're doing if they really want to try to make an improvement. And I think that the movie studios are making a huge mistake by not investing in people to do subtitles. By that I mean, I've talked to a couple of people who've done subtitles and people who've worked with subtitles, and basically they get a script and they translate the script. And that's why sometimes you come up with a lot of weirdness. Or not weirdness, but just not the way we would say things. Like yesterday when I talked about Extreme Job, it's something that Abuji, that's what call him father. Anyway, with subtitles, they read them and then they put so it's on the screen. So with Extreme Job was the same way, and for the longest time actually in America in the West, Extreme Job came out in January of 2019. This, of course, is almost like the Lord of the Flies looking. But we're coming up on the comic relief. And I had the guy's name here. I know him. I've seen him in so many films, but I didn't write it down. I kind of like to just go off the cuff here because I'm more relaxed that way. I know what I'm doing. If I have a point to make, I'll make it. If I forget it, I forget it. Hey, but that's just how it is when you're hanging out watching a movie. There he is. That's the comic. It's the comic relief. That him. He is great. Great. So you got to treat subtitles the way you would a movie score. In the past, in fact, I worked for Columbia Pictures about ages ago in the 90s. And there was a point to me saying I worked at Columbia Studios. Oh, Dances with Wolves. I got to go in to watch Kevin Costner's score a little bit of Dances with Wolves. And that's what you used to do. You used to watch the movie, and the orchestra would play as the movie played. I saw Queen do it for Flash Gordon. They would watch the movie. I think that you don't need to have like a, people could do it at home. Oh, okay. This is hilarious. These guys working themselves up. They're like they want to kill him. They have no idea what they're doing. Sodom person. So he's got the young girl on his side, but of course they're not listening to her. Whoever listens to little girls, right? And they're the ones that usually find like the most horrifying things in horror films. Oh, English. Follow me, man. They wanted to probably put to. Oh. It's like New Zealand, right? Kind of. So I love it. Like they're like preening birds, like the birds are like showing off, and all they talk about is how they're gonna kill, but they just do a dance. They're almost like Broadway dancers, all bluster. So when you score subtitles the way you would score a film, you get better timing, you get more natural dialogue. In fact, they should get screenwriters to do subtitles. Interestingly, I'm a screenwriter, and I'm in the midst of learning Korean. That guy's hilarious too. I wish I knew his name, but he's hilarious. Ipa. And it's not. This is, of course, this is like the time for to breathe from the fighting, to laugh. I'll get back to subtitles in a second. But South Korea has like extreme emotion in their movies. Now, this is total speculation on my part, but I mean, I know generally the reserved nature, almost the forced reserved nature of Korea or South Korea and Asia in general. And it's like they want to amplify their emotions in a movie so they can have that cathartic experience because they've had to bottle up telling someone off or have their boss who's 5 years younger than them make them speak to them in a formal way. But so yeah, the subtitles are very important to me because I've been thinking about that for a long time. Oh, we're about here. See, 16 minutes in. I'd say about 16 minutes in. So when you have the subtitles that are better timed, one thing that does is you could separate two sentences because sometimes they'll give away something when if you knew the language, they wouldn't be giving it away because the actor paused in between the lines. But sometimes with subtitles, you put both. And I understand there's probably some science around it where you have to be able to time it so you can read it and still look up. But I'm currently working on a better way to do it. The people I've talked to aren't so on board yet. That's because I haven't fully formed my idea on terms of like how to do it. There's like several things that need to change, in my opinion, in order to make it just everyday thing. When you have the scroll underneath all the news stations, and by the way, don't watch cable news right now, but when you got scrolling underneath that, and everyone texts, reading is something that people do all the time. And in fact, when you see text messages in film, there's subtitles. You know, I'm talking right now because really the story isn't like the most important thing in this. It's the nice, very inventive action scenes. And this guy's great. This dynamic is great because he's supposedly the leader, but he's a bit of a cowardly. He's like the cowardly lion actually from The Wizard of Oz. All bluster, but he really has nothing to add. America. Why would he be America? How many Americans are on there? Oh. Coon. Coon is the big kahuna. The coon-huna. Horrible. But if you could put subtitles somewhere near the people's faces sometimes you would not translate. If somebody goes anya 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 anya, you don't need to have them say no underneath. And I think if you stop doing it and it's like a training thing, people will then learn anyo. In fact, a lot of people know that. In fact, from Arrested Development, anyang, hello or hi. So everyone uses everyone else's words. So we need to use some more Korean words. And I think that there's quite a few that you can use. Something else, sentence structure. Sentence structure is vital to make this work because Korean sentence structure is totally not like Western or English. So sometimes the words that we would say at the end of a sentence come in the middle of the sentence, or sometimes even the beginning of a sentence. So when there are words that the Koreans use that are American words, like any brand name, I mean, party is pati. Ice cream party. That's ice cream party. I learned that off of Duolingo. But you take those words, and if they're in the middle of the sentence, you have to rejigger the sentence so the person is reading the word party as they're saying the word party. Just like in Parasite, when she goes, "Is it okay with you?" They subtitled that. They shouldn't have. That's a great example of how you can cut down on the subtitles and get more people engaged. Because if you get them looking at the screen, they can see the great acting, the subtlety, and as well as the wild emotion that they have in the film. I'd like to explore that actually, in terms of like being reserved versus their bigger emotions, because they use the word melodrama to describe some Korean films, and while technically that's true for some of them, it's a pejorative, bad word, bad connotation. Just because it makes you feel emotional doesn't mean that it's a bad film. As we'll see in about 2 weeks when I do a couple of very big Korean films, very hugely popular Korean films, you'll see the emotion on display. But I'm also reluctant to watch them because of. I just laugh because he knocked that guy out. The guy was he was talking shit, and there he is. He gets knocked out. This is what I mean when I mean the sense of humor. But yeah, sense of humor, as I think I mentioned a couple of videos about flatulence and scatological humor. It's just funny. And you know what? People deep down inside, I know little kids, but other people, sometimes it's funny. I mean, you got to admit. I mean, it's funny. Not what I just did, but if that was for real. All right, now this is the flashback exposition to find out why the man is there. It's because his family gets killed. Now, you notice there was like that transition wipe from the past memory to him. That's a beautiful way of showing montage, right? You show one clip, person harming a woman, fading to his face. What does that mean? That means he's thinking about the past. These are all little cues that we get and have been quote unquote trained to feel and see for the 100+ years that cinema and film has been around. So while I think subtitles is going to take a little time before people get used to it or people will buy into it, I think once studios or other people realize that there is the profit motive is there because people are craving great films. Parasite is a perfect example. I mean, I wonder how much more it would have done if it was subtitled in a way that, because you have to get the naysayers to stop naysaying. My great friend, who I'd first described the subtitle idea to, he was like, I don't know why you're doing it. I don't know why you're doing it. And then 2 minutes later, he said, I just don't like subtitles. I'm like, that's exactly why I want to change it. All right. Yeah, I'm talking more now than I will be during the fight scenes because the fight scenes are like that's the fun, right? And it's, what is it? It's like I'm about 9:30 here. If anyone is from the Philippines or over and then any of those islands of Asia, wherever, hello. I saw that some of you went to my post. That's great. I hope you're all doing well over there. My girlfriend's actually going to be out there in the fall. So I'll probably be with her. Maybe you'll know me. No. Oh, okay. You just found out he's a cop. We are 24 minutes in. So they're gonna. They're worried that he's a police officer. And I do like how they keep asking him, why are you here? Why are you here? He won't tell him. He's just like, tell me where the dude is. I'll get out of your hair. By the way, you like my haircut? Considering that I won't be able to get to a barber for a long time, I thought it would just be prudent for me to just shave it off. It's actually a lot easier to clean, too. So now that we've gotten through the first act, the second act, of course, because now he knows where he is, he's going to go find Kun. And, of course, it's an unforgiving landscape. Question is, are our ragtag band of goofballs going to be able to help him out? Is the guy going to complete his mission? Yeah, so they found out he's a police officer. But he's there on purpose. He's not there undercover for the police. He's no longer a cop. The police department probably wouldn't be so big on revenge as a reason to do what he does. Oh, Jin-woo. I love that actor because I've seen him play police officers a lot. I haven't seen her in too many things, and Bruce Conner I haven't seen really in anything. But him, he's great. And I feel ashamed that I don't know. I feel ashamed that I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Hear his name off the top of my head. And also, with this film, in terms of the Korean angle, is that there isn't more of those things that are in Korean films, like How Old Are You? People are trying to figure out how formal am I supposed to talk to someone. And a nice big meal at a restaurant where you saw how people serve each other their soju, and how when you drink it, if your boss is there or superior, you have to turn your head and drink it like that. This is it's almost like science fiction in a way, and that this is not about Korea. They just happen to be Koreans on this island fighting for their lives, because it's anything goes. It's like I said, it's like the Escape from New York. And of course the girl had to come with him, because it's not dangerous enough for him just to go by himself, because he can take care of himself. He's got to have a millstone around his neck, and it could be a millstone around her neck, depending on who's the lead. It's always good. It's not just the fact that it's a kid. It could be anybody. It could be an animal. It could be a dumb brother, or a sister is taking care of it. It could be something, but always something that slows you down, while simultaneously you care about them. The lead actor will care about them. Now here, that's the bad guy. And he's well known, but he wears mostly bandages on his face, so you won't recognize him. Yeah, there's a reason I can't show some of this, is because, it's just a bit too graphic. But you're watching it with me, right? We're like, yeah, get that. Ooh, but that was, man. And another thing it shows is that he's just as good as the cop. In fact, he's more brutal than the cop, as this one shows. One wonders why he's not in a straitjacket. Oh, no, never mind. But yes, the graphic nature of this makes it definitely clear that he's the bad guy, and that he's as good as our intrepid, I like to say intrepid hero. Right, this is, oh man. Now we know how he lost his arm. So we know this bad dude is liked by no one. And he's just doing it just to do it, it seems like in this case. But they really know how to do the visuals in this, right? This bandaged man doesn't speak very much. The cop with the Silence of the Lambs mask for the first 10 minutes he was in it. It's a great production design, and also scary. It's like this scene, you can see that he's like, oh, why is she still talking? But of course, what is he going to say? He's the stoic hero, the good guy who lost the family, cop on the edge. Ooh. Yeah, that's a harbinger of bad things to come, especially if she knows one of the people there. See, it's a constant threat of danger is needed for action films. You can rest to have some comedic moments, for sure. You're going to need them. I'm not saying it has to be relentless from minute 1 to minute 95. But danger is just so important. Could take any form. But here we go. See? She got kidnapped. The guy's already... Oh, great visual way to carry the movie around was that. The rabbit, which of course we're looking at it in the past, but there's a rabbit in the present. So the rabbit reminds him of his family that's dead. So he didn't really need more motivation to do what he does, but now that they've got the girl, he's got a little bit of extra motivation. All right, so this is where the humor takes place. You have the girl you're scared about, the cop who's going to go get her and get his revenge, and then you have this motley crew. That's what phrase I was looking for earlier. Following behind. Isn't like they really don't know what they're doing. And like the woman's like, oh, just shut up and follow me, come on. And they don't. Like we have no choice. Look at them. They have to work themselves up just to walk. And not even then does everyone come. That's everyone is like so scared. You wonder what they did as criminals. That's not very criminal behavior, is it? To not want to get involved into a fight. All right, you can tell when Badass walks into a what looks like an abandoned building, you're about to see an extended kick-ass fight sequence. And that's what we're going to come upon right now. The critic who said, "Oh yeah, you should watch the Korean film The Night Comes for Us." The Night Comes for Us was very violent, and I liked it a lot. Not Korean though. This is why you have to be very careful listening to critics. That person didn't know what they were talking about. Didn't even take the time to find out if that movie was from Korea or not. I believe it's Indonesia. It stars a guy from the Raid films. And if you like this movie, I know you've seen The Raid. So now it's like not just the girl, but all of these poor people that need help. See? So, all right. Now we're going to sit back because I love this. Yep. The rice flies out of his mouth. Look at him. They're just disgusting pigs. And somehow, why do they think that he fell by himself? Mm-hmm. Man, the rice flying out of people's mouths is hilarious. Oh, he spits it out, so he's serious. Oh. Boom! Oh! That double beer bottle head smash. Yeah. Look. He's like, huh? And he's carrying the rabbit, as you can see. Remember, I'll show you some scenes, but not that many because you should be watching on a big screen. There. Oh. I mean, this choreography is just brutal, and it's nice long takes too. So there isn't this frenetic, this fake. Oh! When he just head slammed that guy right into this box. Oh man! Wow. Yeah, when you have longer takes, you can get more brutal, and it feels more visceral, realistic, because you're following the action. When you cut with shaky cam and cut again, it's because usually there are a bunch of stunt doubles that they can't show, so they have to hide the fact that the actors aren't fighting. Not here. I mean, it's just like non-stop people coming at him. See, like bowling pins. That's how he takes care of all of them at once. As I said before, he does deal with multiple people at once. Nobody wants to deal with his kicking. My God. See how the camera just stays on him? I mean, the camera just stays on him. There was one cut in there, but... And the cutting... Oh! Zooming in on his face. The cutting, when they do use it, is to great effect. Because when he went to go punch that guy, they cut right before you would have noticed that he was not hitting him. And it looked perfect. It looked like he just went, ugh! And then bam. So, I'm sure there will be inevitable comparisons to a video game. But I've never watched a cutaway scene where I'm like, wow, that video, oh man, I don't want to play the game. I want to see the cutaway scenes. No, this is better than that. Yeah, we're not controlling it. But because we can't control it, we're allowing the experts to control it. So it's not a video game. It's video game-like in the sense of he's got to beat up these ever-escalating number of people, but it's really just a nice way of making a very strong structure for moving from A to B when you're not dealing with complex plots or if you need massive characterization, which you don't really have time. You don't really have time for in this. Wow. There's one shot coming up here with the camera that I hope I can catch so you can see it. Whew! Now they're coming out with knives. Oh, they're throwing the kitchen sink at him, basically. Look, oh. See, he can take out 3 in like a second and a half. Ooh. I mean, oh, look at that. Just nice long takes. He just knocked out 3 people at once. Right here. Look at that. He kicks the camera. So ingenious, so original. I love how he kicks the camera. But it's from the point of view of the person. Wow. And even then, he's not done. Of course, this is the... Here we go. Look at that. Triple kick to the face and then... BAM! I mean, the dude was doing kicks in mid-air. But it's funny, even then he's not done. You got the weird guy eating an apple. For some reason. Like, why is he sitting down the whole time? And why is he so confident? He just saw all of his men get killed. But somehow he thinks he's going to be able to take him on. You know, guys got to know your limits. And, I mean, maybe he thinks he's the best. But if he was the best, he should have just attacked the guy from the very beginning. Of course, he's a huge dude. But, I mean, look at him. That's not gonna matter. But you notice that was the girl pulling it. Oh no. He did the finger. He did the come here thing. Man, beautiful sweeping camera moves. They made a big deal of that, right? Slow motion. Why? Because it was the first time he got hurt. So, thus signifying that this guy actually is good. But is he as good as our hero? No. Let's hope not, anyway. Yeah, look at that. Look at that face, man. He's ready to... Let's go. Oh! I mean, I know if you watch my expressions, you'll see how awesome it is. Oh! Cut on the inside, man. Was that supposed to be like a nut shot? Oh. Wow. Yeah, the guy, he was a bit overconfident in my opinion. Based on what I just saw. Now, I know he's probably not talking that much because he's probably not the greatest actor. But that shows that actor knows his limits. He wrote this as well as starred in it. Because he's like a stuntman or a stunt player and a supporting player, but this is his showpiece, his showcase. And so being silent fits him perfectly. And he knows himself. So he's like, all right, I got to be myself. By them, it's going to be strong, silent type. People like Jean-Claude Van Damme would have done well to learn that lesson. There was a rash of... No, it was Jean-Claude Van Damme and Schwarzenegger, right? The 80s and 90s action stars. It's nice that their accents didn't matter, but they were also being made fun of all the time. Ooh. As if we needed another excuse as to why this guy's a bad guy. That's it. Remember, we're in the past now. The Koreans like to do a lot of flashbacks, but I think they almost always work. As a screenwriter, for the longest time, you're told, oh, flashback's no good, don't even do it. When I wrote a script, I even changed the way I wrote the word flashback, as in like flash images or something, because there was this stigma attached to it. But all you got to do is look at Goodfellas and tell me that going back in time and flashbacks and voiceovers, that they don't work. No, they don't work if it's not good. If it's good, it'll work. And Koreans, they seem to know how to time things. They like sort of like a magic trick, hiding certain pieces of information that they could have given you, and they give you at the end for a greater impact. That's right. Her father was killed by the bad guy. The bandage guy. The bandage guy and the cop. Or if anyone's heard of the movie Dark Man, that was an old Sam Raimi film from about 30 years ago. And it was about a superhero. And he had burned his face. And he wore bandages. But he was a superhero. I gotta get up. It's gonna sit down there. Laurel, my first patron, got me this. She didn't give me the necklace. I don't like the color of this, but I wanted to wear this tonight. Like in English, where is Kun? See, it's all he cares about. I mean, that's all you need to care about, right? Because that's his goal. If you try to give that man more than one goal, then you got to get him to talk, and you have to use characterization. But when you have a guy, I'm out for revenge, where's the guy? I want him dead. That's all you need from him. The fact that he protects people, the fact that he has held on to that rabbit, all those things gives him some humanity. Right, this is one of the lulls. See, that was nicely timed. If anything happens to the girl, I'll kill you, right? You see how the sentences were split up? So for subtitles, that has to happen, I think. Because people miss surprise. You're underestimating the audience's ability to adapt to new words. Like, chincha is really, or among other things. But when you hear that, if you hear that enough and you look at the expression, chincha? I mean, how do you really need to translate that? No. Like, ooh, you know, these things you don't need translating. And with the English words, sometimes in the middle of the sentences, because it is structured that way, I think the verb conjugation, I'm thinking like immersive learning, so I don't have I'm getting an online tutor, but I do immersive learning on Rosetta Stone and Duolingo. So I'm just coming to learn about the ends of the sentences, how they are the conjugation of the verb. For the most part, like I said, there's many exceptions, and I'm no expert, far from it. I like knowing more, and I learn more every day because you do it every day. I've been doing it every day since the beginning of the year, studying and watching Korean movies, but studying Korean. And it was so hard at the beginning, but now it's starting to be fun and now hard again because there's new things you have to learn. There's only so many times you can say, I am an apple. Shonun sagwaga hiseo, something like that. I'm probably messing that up. This is the Machete Crew. It's a good way of differentiating the groups because, you know, he doesn't use weapons, but they are using weapons. Oh, God. Is that like at the Hunchback with the double weapons? I think it is. Right. Yeah, I was going to watch this before this, but I thought, let's just re-experience it together. I mean, I saw it when it came out. I had a great time. And sometimes you really just want to watch somebody get the hell beat out of them, because that way you don't have to. You get to vicariously live through this stuff. See, they're using English a lot. The man's looking for Kun. So we have two women in here. Both are experts with bow and arrow. Gee, I wonder if they're going to fight. Everybody is dead. And so you probably... Oh, see? He went back in time. Oh, yeah, of course. I love this guy. Once again, I remember people's names, but I'm also wary of messing them up. Fire. See? Everyone uses a flashback to come into awareness of the present. See that montage? Montage is two different images creating a third. So you had the, he was looking, it moved forward, it flashed back, and then it swooshed back to the present. So clearly that's a thought. It's the past. He's the guy that killed his family, and now he knows who's after him. And that happens at about 47, nope. We're about ready to get to 48 minutes into the film. About right now, 48 minutes into the film. So halfway through. That's a nice way of like ratcheting up tension, because you know that this guy is, anything could happen. You don't want to, you never want to be the bearer of bad news. People who bear bad news usually don't end up living. Who would ever want to give bad news back? As I thought, he was just toying with him. Bad news. Bad news. Why would anybody, like, I'm watching films from the Joseon Dynasty and the show Kingdom on Netflix. Which, by the way, I'm no sponsors, nothing. It's just me and you. Other than if you find value, you can drop me $1 on my main page. But really, I love these movies, and I love that there's people out there. Maybe not right now. I don't see the live chat, so I don't know who's watching. It's probably easier for me because I'm concentrating on the film. When I do my more free-for-all videos, I can look at the chat probably better. But I'm talking more than normal because the spaces in between the great action scenes, while important to make sure you get enough of the story, it's just the easier place for me to, chill out a little bit. Because I think part of the reason we're all looking for a connection is because we want to be heard. And I want to invite everyone to go to the video after it's over. And I'll be checking the comments. If there's any comments, I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Because I love having conversations about movies and meeting new people. And I love that. They lost one person and then they lost someone else. These guys are so inept, but that's the beauty of it. If they were capable, it wouldn't be funny, and then it would just be a slog, right? Oh. Yeah, she's scared. Look at that. Oh. Well, hope you're watching the movie with me, because you know what happened. He saved her. He's showing once again what a good guy he is. Watching it another time now, the CGI blood needs a little work. Sometimes people rely on it too much. And that's not just Korea. In fact, a lot of American films use horrible blood for CGI. Joker does it great. But not a lot of films, they don't think people care enough to take the time to bother whether that looks like real blood or not. And they wonder why people aren't going to the movies anymore. It's all about details. You got to get the little details down. I mean, I know they use CGI blood in the Mission Impossible movies, but you wouldn't know it because it's blended in so perfectly. The attention to detail is so you need that production design, and you need post-production design. That's where the CGI comes in, CGI blood. Don't you find it more thrilling that there are no guns? That it's like knives and bows and arrows and just fists? And that arrows flying through windows and just coming at you nonstop just seems a bit more dangerous. I don't know. Well, it's probably a bit more likely to get wounded and you have this giant arrow sticking out of your leg or arm but primitive. It's primitive. And I think that's a good way to go for films like this because you want to fight. I think of the John Woo films from the Hong Kong when I saw Hard Boiled. Oh man, that changed my life in terms of. And think back to Hard Boiled with John Woo, gunplay. That was his thing. Chow Yun-fat flying down the steps with the double 9mm, and the doves and the things. But when he came to America, they teamed him up with Jean-Claude Van Damme. They did this film Hard Target. And Jean-Claude Van Damme's a fighter. He doesn't use bullets. So they took away John Woo's greatest moments, his arsenal until Face Off, the movie Face Off. Then he got to show off, like, this is what John Woo can do. But he had a couple of movies before that just didn't work because they were not his element. Face Off worked. As crazy an idea that is, as wild and nutty as that film is, it worked. Oh, there's more than one woman with arrows. Okay, so of course he got hurt. Our former policeman got injured protecting the girl. And that's another thing slowing him down. Because sometimes you get someone to slow you down, but after a while you're just repeating yourself, so you have to throw in something new. Something new happens. Some new complication. I've said complications hundreds of times. You can... Oh, that's cold. Just dropping someone else in front of you. And then why is she all pissed? It's like, hey, man, you're the bad one. You just used someone as a human shield. I don't know why they just stared each other down. They both had bows and arrows. They could have taken each other out right then, but I guess they had to extend the running time. But, yeah, so this thing's thin on story, and the plot is very simple. Sometimes that's all you need to have a good time and to enjoy yourself, especially if it's done well. And, oh, man, I just think of... For some reason, when people get shot in the arm in movies, you're kind of like, oh, that must hurt. But for some reason, man, you get an arrow stuck in someone's arm, you can feel it. You're like, ah! This director is great. He knows how to... Korean directors know how to handle tone better than almost any other country I've seen. They know you can go from dark to light, to dark to light, to wacky to serious. As long as he... Oh! So much so that it went all the way through. So it wasn't much of a fight between them, was it? But really, when you're fighting with bows and arrows, there's probably one winner, and it takes maybe one or two arrows if you miss the first time. So, of course, this is the subplot. She's looking for the girl, too, the daughter, too. Which is very important because, he needs backup. Sometimes it's clear he needs backup. Right. See, that was a very interesting action sequence in that it wasn't like balls out, meaning, or it wasn't non-stop, like music blasting. And it was arrows. And I love that. that sound that it makes. But it was arrow fighting, and then some other fighting, and then tension, and then a showdown, as it was just shown, and then the good people won. And they say people because it is a group of people that they're fighting this against this guy and his henchmen. And so the woman who hated him now realizes she can't abandon him because he saved her daughter's life and can't give up on him. See, that's the thing about arrows, right? You can't pull them out. Usually you gotta push them through the other side, or because the things of the tips, right? I think that's the whole point of having the wide tips out. You can't just pull it out. You'll rip. Oh. But gotta get it out somehow. Push it through. Oh, oh, no. Right. I have to look up what else this director did, because if he's doing another action film, or if he's doing something like this, something that involves comedy or physicality, I'm gonna look to him because he knows how to do it. Oh, Molly Jin. They're saying it in unison. I love it. They're playing with stereotypes, and Korea is so far advanced when it comes to women in film. I mean, they are the doofuses that need protecting. She's the one that protects them. Now, of course, our cop friend there with the arrow in him, he's his own thing. But when it comes to the rest of the movie, this guy is acting like the leader, but he doesn't know what he's doing. See, he wants to run. He's like, oh, it's too dangerous. Now, of course, he has a reason to be worried because his hand got taken by the bandage man. See, yeah, that's the kind of attitude we can't have these days, right? We have to save our asses first. I mean, we're all in our houses here in New York City, where I'm at. Not for me, but for the people who could get sick. Not into that, so I'll stay home and be here with you. I may not be able to do the work that I could normally do, but that gives you time to do this and get better at it and find out more people around the world who love movies the way I love movies, and Korean films in particular. I do have another channel where I talk about other films, but I won't mention that right now. I'll bring it up later. If I could only give one mild criticism to this right now, I feel that this moment, they waited a bit too long between deciding to help him and getting out of there and when the bad guys showed up. They could have shortened it. I think it took away the tension until the bad guys showed up. I think she said "biene." It's more of an informal way to say sorry. Of course, I'm reading the subtitles. I can see that's what it meant. See, he said, okay. Why do you have to translate that? You don't. So if you cut out 10, 20% of the subtitles, if you can, and time them a little better, put them in different places, and some other things I'm thinking about, I think you're really gonna see a difference. I'm a member of this On-Demand Korea and another Asian television and film site, and the most common complaint I get or I see when I look at the movies that just came out, because including movies that I really want to see, are, oh man, these subtitles are bad subtitles. And it's either because they did Google Translate, or English is probably their third language. I do know people in the Philippines and Indonesia, they translate I translate these movies, and if English is their third language, I can see how it would not be the best. But more importantly are the number of people that I've seen say that. That means that there's a demand out there. There's a demand that somehow the movie studios at the time are missing. Now, of course, movie studios are, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm acting as if that thing's just still going to be this. Oh, man. I love that. It's just so weird. And I mean, his haircut. Love it. Oh. You got to love how they didn't show how they got it out. Normally, like films like Rambo and other, you see how they pull things out. There's a movie Ronin starring Robert De Niro that involves a gunshot, and he has to sew it up himself with a mirror, and it's like an extended like look at. That's right. She dipped her arrows in poison. I like it. It's their fault if they don't make it. I always do my job. Yeah, doctors, doctors aren't, you can't, obviously you can't save everyone. Oh, it's almost like he'll need to be as tough as nails. Look at that. He's having a conversation with his long dead wife, I guess. Yeah, it's the humor that really sells this movie. Otherwise, it would just be your standard run-of-the-mill with elevated action sequences. But it's what makes you look forward to going back to this base camp. I've not had acupuncture or acupressure before, but I've seen it so many times now that I really want to do it. So if anybody knows of a good place for me to try it, sometime in 2021, I guess, whenever that happens, let me know. And don't forget, I'll want to check the comments after this is over. If you have any questions or want to discuss something, interested in talking about another film, I'm all ears. I'm all fingers. Yes. Oh, the other thing about those cups that make those big marks on someone's back. See, he's got the cups on his back. Is that what that is? I'm not sure what that does. It's another one of those things where I've seen in a lot of films, but I'm like, I'm interested to know that, but I'm more interested in learning Korean well enough to understand it and translate it and converse in it. Once I get over that hill, then I'll probably get on to things like, oh yeah, that thing I should have looked up beforehand. I should look it up now. But acupressure, I do want to get it. Captain. See, they didn't translate captain okay. I do remember when I looked at this, when I made the video for this last year. Not good. Fell into that trap. They didn't translate a lot of the English. And I think it was where I first started getting the idea of, yeah, the less subtitling, the better. People get human emotion. People understand facial expressions. Sometimes it doesn't translate because Western and Eastern audiences are different. Beautiful physical comedy. You think the guy's going to save him, but they end up both in a horrible situation. See, oh, look at that. I can't talk. I can't communicate with him. See, that's not something someone would say. I can't talk to the guy. I can't even talk to this guy. Communicate is a very formal sounding thing. So, obviously they're speaking casually. Oh, probably not so good. See? Oh, man. Not translated. You don't need it translated. People understand feelings of exasperation, of surprise, of anger, of fear, of frustration, of love. These are universal things. That's why film translates across around the world, and subtitles are there to assist. But I believe subtitles can be there to enhance and get a better understanding of the story. When you were stung by a scorpion, I saved your ass. I wonder why he's speaking English. I do think that maybe they're attempting. What I've noticed with more and more English in films, like Korean films, is they are attempting to try to be more, quote unquote, international. Because they knew that this film was going to appeal to guys who love action films. And they love the Raid, people who love the Raid. Get that hunchback away from me. Yeah. Has hey. Another thing you don't need to translate. I mean, like. See? Great. Great edit right there where you thought that he was going to get hurt and it looked like he did, but it was someone else. I'm not going to cut and show this over to you because it's violent. The hunchback just killed his friend. Another beautiful thing in Korean movies. Anyone could die at any time, even the lead. Some of the better Korean films I've seen, the lead has died before the film is over. I think the Japanese film Ikiru did that best. Look up Ikiru, because the lead in that movie, as you'll in the very beginning, you find out he's terminal disease, but he dies. But the film isn't over. The more important part happens after the movie's over, at the wake, where everyone talks about how they're going to change things and we're not going to take anything for granted, and which is exactly what they do at the end of the film. Like everything goes back to the way it was. Everyone always hopes that things will finally change. But a lot of times we just kind of make small changes and then go back to normal. Maybe in this instance, that's what we're going to need, because it's such a shock to the system, what everyone's going through. I'm trying not to talk about that too much, because I picked this film for that reason. I wanted to have some, catharsis. That's why I'm just like, oh, I used to always make fun of like reaction videos, but it's kind of fun. Right, I can only show a certain number of seconds of the film. One, because I'd love you to have it. Patronize Korean movie studios and streaming services. But the other time is like, the movie studio might think that I'm trying to just show you the movie. I just want to share it with you, enjoy it with you. And if you're wondering if I'm talking too much, or if you think, he's talking too much, this is me not talking so much. I love to talk. I talk people's ears off. And let's see where we're at. 1 hour and just over 1 hour and 10 minutes into the film, which means we're heading to the finale very soon. That's the what screenwriters would say. The end of the second act, all is lost. His friend gets killed, and they have to turn over the good guy, or everyone's gonna die. So you realize that the fight's gonna be immense. And don't forget, anything can happen at any time in a Korean movie. So see, why isn't she just taking them bows out and phew, 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 phew? Oh, she didn't have them. My bad. It's amazing. The guy is such a coward. Thinking, bowing to evil in order for the illusion of safety. Ah, yeah. Here we go. See? But. Oh! Look at him. You see, he's. Now comes one of the first brawls. See, he's funny, but he's also pathetic. Look at it. Everyone else is like dying around him, and he's like, huh? What's going on? See, even with these action scenes, the takes are longer. I mean, if a take lasts, let's see. If a shot lasts about 4 seconds or more, it's considered a long shot, especially in a fight. And if it goes, oh, that was inventive. Using an arrow instead of using the bow, just shove it in him. Man, she is a master bow archer. Reminds me of Bae Doona in the movie The Host by Bong Joon-ho. Another movie that I'll be doing. Great monster film. She's like a Olympic archer in that movie. That's why it reminded me of it. I love it. Like the Hunchback's got gymnastic skills. He's ready to party. Party with them double giant machetes. You know, in the back of your mind, you're just thinking, oh, I can't wait for that guy to get killed. Oh, it's going to be bad when that guy gets his comeuppance. Right? And, of course, you're thinking, oh, no, is he going to wake up? Of course he's going to wake up. This is his movie. This is giving everyone else a chance to kick some ass. I mean, she is badass. She doesn't fuck around. She is... Whew. No hesitation. I mean, she knows what's at stake. She gets the true stakes, whereas this guy doesn't. He doesn't. He's paralyzed. Oh, he's paralyzed with fear. And when you're paralyzed with fear, you can't act. See? Right there. When you're paralyzed with fear, you can't act. Which is why everyone has to be really careful about what they read and what they tell others about what they read when it comes to the current climate, for lack of a better word. Fear will lock you up and destroy you. That sounds like a really bold statement, but really, why is he just he's looking at the carnage around him, but doing nothing. Now, of course, you can get away with that in this movie at this point because it's almost over. But if you saw the true nature of his cowardice and his inability to act, you wouldn't find him so funny at the beginning of the movie. They waited to show his true nature near the end. Now, granted, he's gone through a lot. That's really pathetic, the fact that he got to live just because he saved his ass before. But that's the moment. That's the moment that you need. That's it. He's had enough. He can't take it anymore. Always time for a redemption. Because who doesn't want to see those two guys fight? Hey, man, Scorpion was going to kill you. I saved your ass. I bet he wishes he hadn't saved him. Why is he asking where the cop is? He should know. There's only one place he could be. Even though he gets brave, he doesn't have the skills to back it up. At least not now. Not right now. Oh, how convenient, right? To cut the back of his shirt off so he could be bare-chested. Even though he's a coward, you don't want to see that happen. And anything at any time could happen. And yet another message that fear paralyzes you and does not end well. Skepticism, very healthy. Being wary, very healthy. Fact-checking and double-checking things and not taking things at face value, very, very important. Being filled with fear, counterproductive. Be smart. Pay attention to what's going on with you around your neighborhood. You got to watch the news sometimes because you have to know if any laws or any new things that come up. There's the heroic act. Right there. The heroic act. Gave up his life for someone else. So even with the light characterization they have in this film, that it was an arc really in the past 10 minutes where he went from cowardice to locked up to trying his best to losing and then to giving up his life for someone else, which suggests he's not cowardly at all. See, we know that's a flashback, but they cut to his face first, so we know it's a flashback. They shouldn't have translated the no. Because I heard him say no. And that didn't need to be translated either. I mean, like even talking through others, like, I'm so into it. I so want them to win. I so want them to succeed. Probably because I don't like bullies, and of course I really, but in this instance, I don't know that character, right? You just kind of know him, not really, but you don't need to. You know he's evil. You want to hurt him. You want him hurt bad. That's kind of all you need to know. When you're dealing with movies like Chinatown, yeah, you probably need a bit more of a story. But a well put together action movie is thrilling for people who like that. Boom. There he is. The look. Yeah. All right. So we all know what's coming next. By the way, I have to use my hand sanitizer. I realized what I just did. I have some right here. I've washed my hands like 30 times today, and I've been outside twice and just around the block. My hands have never been this clean. I don't think there's a man in the United States whose hands have been this clean. I'm not saying I walk around with chocolate and doo-doo and popcorn crust on my hands. No. Blech. Now our boy's got a weapon. Notice how he doesn't always use it to kill. He uses it to smack people upside the head. It's great that the director let him just go. Like, all right, choreograph 6, 7 seconds, 8 seconds of action, and just let it rip. And I love the costume design of the bandage. And I'm sure that's costume design because of the way it looks. It's his arm, the way it is, it's the angles. Yikes! Ooh! Sound design is so important in action films. You can tell when he uses a knife to hit someone in the face and when he uses it to slash and cut. And once again, it's just not, you know what? These things right here, I usually keep them in my hands. Keeps my hands away from my face. I mean, I don't know, like I said, I don't know why I'm worried about it. I've washed my hands 30 times. I'm I mean, not self-quarantined. That I'm staying in, following directions. And if everyone just follows directions, we're going to be all right. I didn't say we'd be all right tomorrow, but we'll be all right. The two-on-one fight with really long blades. Hunchback and Hunk versus Cop. Look at man, whoosh. That's yeah. In an average fight that doesn't involve him, the cuts happen in about 3 seconds. But he gets 5 to 8 seconds in a shot. So when they do the cutting, it's for a reason. Either to accentuate a punch, accentuate a moment. But notice how they're letting it breathe here. Oh, you hurt me. You cut me. I mean, you should... Oh. But look, did you expect this? Right? Like the real battle is not between the hunk and the cop. It's between the hunchback and the cop. Badass. And don't forget, he's still got to go for the main bad guy, the bandage guy. See that sound? The sound of the clanking sword? It's just... It adds... It brings it to another level. And that's the kind of care that subtitles need to have. With the care of the sound design and production design and costume design and dialogue. It needs to be factored in if you want to make it an international... If you want it to be playing internationally. Almost like in the budget. Factor in a great subtitler. Like I will be in a couple years once I get fluent. I'm a realist. I'd say 2 years. I might learn much quicker, but I like to take my time and practice and study and practice and get it right. Which is what Bruce Khan does. I don't know. I mean, I can imagine they practice for a month per fight sequence. I do know it's shot from like October to April. I believe in Indonesia. Not sure, but somewhere around there. Because this is an island that has no Korean markings on it at all. So, by design, these are an island of condemned people. Look at that. I mean, it's just the carnage. But he didn't dispatch everyone. He dispatched the two hardest guys. And just like any kind of strong silent type, he just takes off. He's like, all right, my job here is done. Now I got to go take care of the real reason I'm here. Yeah, when it comes to subtitles, people take things for granted. Like, oh, subtitles are always done that way. They're never going to get any better. There's no way to improve them. Why bother? That's the... Look at that. Ah! No wonder he's got all those bandages on. Oh, man, that just made me forget everything I was saying. That's like, ugh. Some good makeup right there. But yeah, it's all the way. It's always been done that way. It's true. Subtitles are always down at the bottom, and you have to look up and down. And people don't like that. People don't like to quote unquote read. So why not listen to those people? Because, but the number of people I've heard complain about bad subtitles on Korean drama and Korean movie sites, I just think of like a 5 or 6 or 7% more at the box office because you get rid of that subtitle issue. That's where the profit comes in. And I'm only mentioning that because you got to get people interested in. And when you're dealing with entertainment executives, you got to show them that it's a bottom line, that it's worth it. Like, hey, pay this X amount of money for the subtitles, you'll make 3 times amount of money that you paid for the subtitles. And they're like, oh, I like that. Speak their language. Use subtitles while you're speaking. Here it is. It's the final countdown. I can score it myself. Dum, 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 dum. Here comes the bandage man. He's gonna face that face. Now you die under the death penalty. Interesting how it's all in English, right? See, subtitling is just half of it. Like I said, that for example, the South Korean company would take subtitling into account, and they would have subtitles for Chinese or the East or Europe and then America. Parasite showed Americans will come if the movie is great. I think that if it was subtitled a little bit better or differently, it would have been a blockbuster. It is a blockbuster when you think about it, because people were still going to the movie theaters to see it long after it had been released for streaming. Okay, here we go. Here's the fight. Who's going to win? Oh. Got Look at how much space the director's given them. The camera's not really forcing close-ups. It's pushing in and out. It's pummeling the shit out of them. But don't think this is a typical Korean film. As I said, there's fighting, and there's violence in Korean films and crime. Oh, he's cheated. Brings a knife to a fist fight. It's not to say Korean movies aren't thrilling. You'll see tomorrow with the fantasy movies, the fantasy, sci-fi, Buddhist, reincarnation, wild duo of films, how interesting and unique Korean films can be. Like, this film isn't unique, but it's only unique in the sense of its action sequences it's a great marriage of director and lead actor. Of course, having the guy in bandages makes it easier to have a stunt double. Bruce here doesn't need a stunt double. I'm sure the actor did a lot of his fighting, but it's easier when one person, you don't need to hire an actor who's also a master martial artist. They knew what they were getting with Bruce. But the other guy, I've seen him in so many films as a supporting actor. It's great. I don't know if he can fight as well. He probably does some. And then, of course, he's carrying a knife, too. This is like that. It's like the Raid 2. They get in position, it's almost like a competition sort of thing. They set and then they just go at it. See how long it took before they cut? they wanted you to, it allows the actor that's there to get his shots in. But, oh, uh-oh. There. Now the fight's even. Oh, you gotta love it. The use of props. See, he's trying to... What a great back-to-back battle. Uh-oh. See? Oh! Ooh! That's a flip over, man. I mean... Why would he threw away his weapon? Why not get his weapon back when he threw the guy? I don't know. Now, there may have been stealth edits there, but I doubt it. That was a great long shot. And if the subtitles were taken as great care as the editing and choreography, I'm telling you, it's coming. I'm bringing it to you, I hope. Someone will. People love, this world is too connected. Korean films, Taiwanese films, Filipino films. By the way, there's a Filipino film, By Bust. I may even do it on this channel because I love that film so much. It's a great, that is a 2-hour relentless action film. Oh. See, it's like the midpoint of the fight. You think it's always like, nope, I'm not having it. Oh, he's even toying with him. He's like, come here, come here, come here. Oh. At this point, they should really both be really punch drunk. Although he's a better kicker. He can punch like no one's business, but that kick of his. Boom. Beautiful use of editing, right? So, he missed his head, but the way they cut it looked like he didn't. And those punches to the gut, it's that sound. You got to have that great sound. And sometimes seeing it in a movie theater, which you couldn't for this film. But when you hear that thud and that bass just goes in the movie theater, that's when you really feel it. It becomes really visceral. Although this is still visceral. Great sound systems and huge TVs at home. So you can pretty much kind of get that experience. But nobody has a 50-foot high IMAX screen at home. If they do, I want to come over. Because I like movie theaters. Don't you love movie theaters? I suspect. 1 second. Let's watch the fight. Ay! It's about movie theaters. But I'll kind of say. Whew! He just... Yeah, that. He used his forehead as the biggest weapon. That's something you really have to know how to do. The guy in the army tried to headbutt someone, and he aimed a little too low with his own head, and so he broke his nose, and instead of hurting the other guy, he hurt himself worse. I'm laughing because he's a very close friend of mine, a bit of a lunatic. A close friend of mine in the army. That's the thing about the military. You move around so much, you don't really get to stay friends with people unless you really try. And when I was in the military in the 90s, it was almost impossible to try to find someone because I was, when I came home from Bosnia and we went to Colorado Springs, I had friends in Germany, and it was hard to get a hold of them because cell phones weren't prevalent. And the one time my friend did call, I missed the call. So, transitory friends. But though the last fight scene was good, it wasn't as good as the middle one where he went from room to room. but it was very satisfying. And now the denouement. A very quick denouement. Mr. Yule. Just sitting there looking out, waiting for him. I don't know why. So they believe he made it out. Because, I mean, really, who's left on that island between her and the daughter, right? That's just... the coda. Denouement is what happens right after, like, bandage guy lost. The wrap-up. But a coda is sort of like it wraps up with a girl on the beach, and then it blacks out and it cuts to him. So, he's still there, and you know that something else is going to happen. Either he's going to try to get on a ship or he's going to do whatever it takes. You don't know. Because of the cut. Boom. That's over. Why did I say boom? I think I said boom a lot because it was it's an action film. But movie theaters, yes. I believe that when this is over, or when it's over enough for people to go back to movie theaters, they're going to go in droves. I think people think that I've heard somewhere that streaming is going to be the thing now. I know that there's a movie, Universal Studios, they released The Invisible Man and the movie Emma, and I think something else. They were in movie theaters then. They put them on for rent now for $20. I saw those films. Oh, The Hunt. That's right. I saw it. Not worth $20 to watch at home. I mean, that's basically just a couple more dollars than you would pay to see a full price movie in New York. I don't know what it's like where you're at. I do know that my parents lived in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. I could see a movie for $5. You can see some matinees and you will again, but you can for like $8.50 for a matinees in Manhattan. But mostly it's like $17 to $23 for a film. And I think that a few things are going to happen when it comes to American movies. They're going to have to rely on lower budgets, which means they're going to be back to making films like this, these mid-budget action films, these mid-budget thrillers. I'm not talking like the low-budget Blumhouse stuff. I'm talking about films that appeal to, mainly Americans, but it appeals to a lot of people. I just think that they're going to have to cut it down because I think that there's going to be an issue with the United States wanting to export their movies to other countries. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that people are going to be so pent up and ready to get out that movie theaters are going to be filled. It doesn't matter what movie's playing. They're going to be, because people want to be together. They want to be together, and they want to experience something together. And it's difficult to experience something together right now because we're all in different rooms. But that spirit of camaraderie and togetherness, that is there, and that will be there again. And a movie theater is a great gathering place. Now, I personally like the reserved seat system because I grew up at a time when you had to stand in line to see a movie when it was popular. And on opening weekend, I lived in L.A. when I turned 20, and moved to L.A. and that was beautiful movie theaters there. Only some of which are still around. But whenever you would go, I remember Die Hard 2 was open that summer, and lines around the block to get in because you had to get there early if you wanted to get a good seat. You didn't want to sit in the front row. One time, my best friend and I, we went to go see a movie there in L.A., and we got there late, so we had to sit in the very front row. And so we're looking up because nowadays movie theaters, they've kind of moved the seats back a little bit so where front row isn't so bad. But back then, they packed them in. So you're sitting in the front row, your neck is craning like this. And it was a Paramount movie, and my friend looks up and he looks to me and goes, "We're on the mountain," because Paramount's got that mountain. That's what it felt like. The mountain felt like it's big, like I could scale it, and I would need like oxygen or something. But it was fun. Movies can be fun. You get the audience laughing together. That's why people that go to stand up. they love shared experiences, and they love to laugh and enjoy themselves. And I know that I enjoy films that are could be a little bit darker, but I still enjoy them. But I love wacky comedies. Um, well, I'm doing Miss Granny comedy. It's a great like romantic um, comedy that stars a wonderful Shim Yun Kyung as a woman who goes back in time and becomes young again. Um, I think you're really really gonna like it. It's charming, but it's also you'll see something in there's a thread running through all these Korean films. There's a sense of pride, a sense of not taking themselves too seriously, while at the same time realizing that the society they're in is very serious, and also their current struggles with the family unit, I guess, because honor and respect and all that stuff is I am very ignorant on when it comes to geopolitical and situations in South Korea, or just the family, how the familial unit is. Like, do the in-laws live with the family now, or does son or daughter stay home? Does the son stay home and live there until he's in the 30s or whatever? More things I have to explore once I can start reading Korean newspapers more. Because I try to watch some Korean television, and boy, man, I can catch one word because they're speaking normally, which is fast to anyone who's trying to learn the language. But man, I got to tell you, I wasn't planning on doing this movie tonight. It was going to be something else, but I'm doing that one next week. A Taxi Driver, Song Kang-ho. Woo boy! And let me just say right now also that I've been saving a couple of things. One is Hwang Young-min, my favorite actor. Song Kang-ho is my number 2, but number 1, and I mean over America in the world, Hwang Young-min. I got some films of his coming up next week that are great, but they're not the greatest ones that I've seen of his. They're great, but I'm saving the other ones for a little later. Those and of course there's Old Boy. Old Boy is the film that got America interested in Korean cinema, me included. In fact, well, I tend to love it more than most. But Old Boy was a mind-blowing film. I will be doing that one. I'll probably do it like at a midnight kind of thing. And I'll probably be doing this stuff later now anyway, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Because, well, here in America, what else are we going to do? And I did see people engaging with my stuff in the Philippines and over in Asia. And I'm like, well, I got to do it a little later at night. So I'm like, people in the Philippines aren't getting up at 2 in the morning to watch me talk about a movie and show you clips. But this was an escapist film. Koreans, just like Americans, just like everywhere else, they make escapist movies. And there's nothing wrong with escapist movies, especially when they're put together really well. On the flip side, you got these 2 movies that came out in January from America called The Turning and The Grudge. Oh, my Lord, those films sucked so bad. And they were supposed to be just, like jump scary kind of escapist entertainment. But they turned out to be just like major slogs. So if you're going for the entertaining movie, entertain. Don't try to do some deeper thing or pretend to do some deeper thing, which I believe a lot of people do. It's this faux seriousness and taking themselves too seriously. You don't do that with a film that you're there just to eat some popcorn and watch somebody get punched in the face, or fighting, or sword fighting, or if it's dancing like in Miss Granny, and singing these beautiful sweet songs. That's what you go to the movies there for sometimes. I mean, I go to the movies sometimes to learn things as well. Being in New York, until now, I felt very fortunate to see a lot of films that other people haven't seen yet or won't see because they didn't become very successful, but they played here first. Usually more of the art house films. A lot of times they're very depressing or violent, and a lot of people don't like that. I know quite a few friends of mine who are not really into that. But to me, that's entertaining. But I'm also entertained by this. It's kind of like when I listen to music. Queen is my favorite band of all time. But I also love a well put together, sugary pop song. The kind that people make fun of, like, oh, this dreck, they call it, whatever. But there's a reason why you get caught up in it. There's a Dixie Chicks song, Gaslighter, Denier. Got a problem with some of the lyrics, but boy, is that song catchy. They know how to write. She knows how to write like that. They got that melody and got that chorus and that hook on point. So anyway, I'm way off the topic and way off the subject of Revenger. I hope you enjoyed the film. Maybe you could share this with someone who's seen it before. Maybe I've got some insights on, with the subtitling. I didn't talk about critics too much because I don't like to talk about critics too much anymore. Seriously, how can you pay attention to someone who doesn't even know what country they're reviewing? It's sad. It's sad that people don't want to take the time to do some research and learn something new. Well, now is the time to learn something new. We can't travel. I'm reminded of reading Victor Hugo's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Or I should say, I tried to read Hunchback of Notre Dame. There was a whole chapter on the cathedral. Like Hugo wrote a detailed description of that. And back when Hugo was popular or big, they didn't have television or pictures. So you had to spend time to describe things to people because you couldn't get to where you were. Well, that went by the wayside with the internet and air travel first, and ships. But now that we are back to our corners, if you use a boxing analogy, you're going to have to learn new ways of connecting, new ways of seeing things, new ways of learning things. And the way to learn, one way is like this. You find someone who's seen a film like this before, and you might get some insight, or you might hear something that I said randomly, another film I mentioned, be it Old Boy, or whatever other films I mentioned. Hopefully you'll get out there and look for them. And just one last time before I go, thank you all for listening and watching. You can use this again and again. You just got to start and sync it up when I synced it up, and it should play just perfectly. Just everyone take care of yourself, and I'll be back tomorrow doing a double feature starting at, well, it would be 4 a.m. in the Philippines. I might change the time, but I'll be doing both Along with the Gods movies, parts 1 and 2, with about a 3-hour break in between, because I can't sit down for 5 hours or 4.5 hours. I can, but I would just be like, I would get up and go, I'm done with this. But I thank you. Tell your friends about this. And remember, I'm going to be checking the comments once I get off of this stream. And hopefully if you have any questions or want to talk, that'd be fantastic. I love it. I love meeting new people. We need to meet new people. Pen pals are going to come back. It's virtual pen pals. Pen pals used to be like you would just hand write a letter to someone in another country or another part of the world, another state, and you would have a correspondence with these people. It was like the lo-fi form of texting, but and a mixture of lo-fi texting and almost like not a dating app, but it really is sort of like hey, look at this list. How about this person? He likes chess. You like chess. He doesn't speak English, but I'm sure they can translate. That's what's going to happen. Pen pals, getting to know one another over the internet, really getting to know one another, paying attention to other people's cultures and not denigrating them. Now, of course, everyone is guilty of making fun of things they shouldn't make fun of sometimes. But now is the time to look at something with curiosity, not with suspicion. So when I first started watching the Korean movies, and I'll wrap this up, there were so many scenes of, how old are you? I'm this. Oh, well, I can call you bro. Can I call you little sis? Yes, sir. I was like, what? Why is this in the movie? I don't understand this. And of course, my first inclination was to just go, make fun of it, and then just not watch them again. But I got curious. Why is this in the movie? So then you learn about age, and you learn about informal versus formal speech. And then I read that thing from Malcolm Gladwell about how Korean airlines were crashing because the co-pilots were showing deference to the pilot because that's their society, and that changed. So be curious, not suspicious. Really, you should feel safe. You're in, hopefully, if you're listening to this or watching this, you're safe in your home right now. You've had a couple of drinks, maybe. This is non-alcoholic, but what am I going to do? And you're just relaxing at home. And if you got that time, yeah, look, everyone looks at screens, everyone looks at phones. You can look up all kinds of things. Watch films that you never would have thought to watch. Like do Netflix roulette. You know, what I do is I take my list that I have on my particular part of Netflix because, I share it with my girlfriend. And I just press forward and I close my eyes, hold it, and so the movies are scrolling and I'm not watching them. And then I change direction, and go back and forth, stop. And then I just press play. And whatever comes up is what I watch. Because it's in my list, so clearly I want to watch it. But sometimes you can't make it. Sometimes there's just too many choices. And you can't make a decision. Which is why I think people are going to go to movie theaters in droves over streaming. Because at least at the movie theater, you've made a decision. I'm seeing that film. Open up Netflix, and you really don't have an idea of what you want to watch. You're going to be there all day. Your day is instead of watching a movie, you're going to be looking for a movie for 2 hours. I'm guilty of that. Very guilty of that. I will see you tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I know I'm going to see some of you again. And to everyone in the future, we're going to be okay. Hopefully. No, we are. And share this with your friends. Please subscribe. If you find any value in what I'm doing, you can go to my channel page and toss me a buck or become a patron, because I'd like to get a community going where I can spend the time making more of these videos and interacting with you more, getting the chats going and learning from each other. That's what I'm excited about, and I think it's gonna come soon. I gotta okay. I'm looking over here trying to stop. I'm gonna stop. Bye.